Hare Krishna and welcome to Krishna Connection Srimad Bhagavatam study. We are in first canto, chapter 10. Hari Bol Rasastale. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhishma looked toward Krishna. You show your kindness to everyone if they have full faith in your protection. Because I am such a unflinching devotee, you have come here at the last moment of my life to give me your audience. Grandfather, said Yudhishthira, please tell me the means by which one can become the Lord's pure devotee and thereby enjoy his shelter. Bhishma replied, at the time of death, Krishna will appear in the minds of those who always chant his holy names, with fixed attention. Thus, the karmic reactions that kept them bound in material existence will be destroyed. I'm going to read that again so we can stamp it in our minds. At the time of death, Krishna will appear in the minds of those who always chant his holy names with fixed attention. The karmic reactions that kept them bound in material existence will be destroyed. Wow, amazing. So let us pray at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna that may we always take shelter of the holy, no matter what we are feeling. May our thoughts flow towards Krishna, and may we always remember Krishna and never forget him. And may we allow Krishna to destroy these karmic reactions that keeping us bound in this material existence. Bhishma turned to Krishna. My Lord, please appear before me as the four-handed Narayana. I wish to see this glorious form as I leave my body. Krishna placed his hand over Bhishma's. Then he turned to Yudhishthira and nodded, indicating Yudhishthira should continue asking his grandfather his questions. Yudhishthira began by asking about the essential principles of statecraft. Bhishma then explained the moral duties of society in two divisions. One was for those desiring material enjoyment, and the other for those more inclined to renunciation. He said that everyone should be trained to be charitable. He also described the specific duties of the king, of women, of devotees, and of each of the different occupations, supporting his explanations with scriptural evidence. Over the course of the many days that Bhishma instructed Yudhishthira, the sun gradually moved to the northern hemisphere. Noting this, Bhishma was able to die at a time of his own choosing, told Yudhishthira, my dear king, the auspicious time for my departure has arrived. I have spoken of many things, and I have fought many battles. Now, I desire to fix my mind on Lord Krishna in preparation for death. As Yudhishthira bowed his head in acquiescence, Bhishma gazed at Krishna. Just give me a second, I want to check what acquiescence means. It means the reluctant acceptance of something without protest. Okay. I mean, what could Yudhishthir say, right? In this situation, he's not protesting. Bhishma suffered enough. So he's like, okay, like when we don't want to say okay, but we say okay because we have to say okay, there's no other option. The Lord, manifesting his splendid four-armed form as Narayana stood before him, dressed in yellow garments and adorned with numerous jewels. Preparing to leave his body, Bhishma began to glorify Krishna. At the end of my life, I desire to exclusively fix my thoughts on you, Lord, the creator of the material world. Although you are fully self-satisfied, you sometimes descend here to perform your pleasure pastimes with your pure devotees. Recollecting how attractive Krishna looked on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma said, as you drove your friend's chariot, the sun rays made your outfit glitter and shine, and your hair, which had turned ashen because of the dust raised by the horses, flew behind you in the wind. Even though your body was covered by wounds inflicted by my sharp arrows and sweat poured from your brow, you did not abandon your dear friend Arjuna. Casting his mind back to the first day of the war, Bhishma continued. On Arjuna's request, he took his chariot to the middle of the battlefield. By glancing over the soldiers in Duryodhana's army, you shortened their lives merely by your will. Then, when Arjuna became bewildered, you spoke transcendental knowledge to dispel his doubts. O Lord, may my mind always be attracted to you. O Lord, may my mind always be attracted to you. Bhishma became increasingly absorbed in remembering Krishna's many favors towards his devotees. He recalled how, during the battle, Krishna sacrificed his own promise not to fight in order to keep Bhishma's vow that he would force the Lord to fight in order to save his friend Arjuna. You rushed at me in anger as a lion attacks an elephant, Bhishma recalled with a chuckle. Your shield was broken and your body smeared with blood from wounds inflicted by my arrows. O Krishna, I desire to always behold your beautiful form driving Arjuna's chariot, anxious to protect him by all means. All the warriors who died on the battlefield attain your eternal kingdom simply because of seeing your attractive features. Desiring to attain their blessings, Bhishma remembered Krishna's dearest devotees, the gopis of Vrindavan. You danced and joked with them as equals, he marveled. In truth, no one is your equal. You're the supreme personality of Godhead. All the great sages, gods, and kings of the world who acknowledged this truth about you during Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. Some people think the Supreme Lord is impersonal, all-pervasive energy known as Brahman, and others think the Supreme is Supersoul in the hearts of all living beings. Because I have transcended all material duality, I can see that you are the one Supreme Lord. Brahman and the Supersoul are simply your different aspects, just as the sunshine and the sun disk are aspects of the sun god. Bhishma fell silent. Focusing his eyes and mind on Krishna's form standing before him, he left for the spiritual world. Bhishma Dev ki jai. When Bhishma's body limp and lifeless, the sages and kings present observed a moment of silence in his honor. The gods began to shower flowers from the heavens, and the kings joined with the celestial in praising Bhishma with instruments and song. After performing Bhishma's last rites and watching as his body was burned on a great bier swathed in garlands, Yudhishthira was momentarily overcome with grief. He stood motionless, gazing at the smoking remains of Bhishma's body. As he slowly turned to leave, he saw Kripacharya standing at a distance. Yudhishthira, followed by Krishna, approached his old teacher, who lowered his head in shame. Forgive me, Yudhishthira, said Kripacharya. Following Ashwatthama's orders, I've grievously wronged you. I shall now go to the mountains to perform penance. Yudhishthira reached down to touch his teacher's feet, but Kripacharya stopped him and raised him up. My lord, said Yudhishthira, do not censure yourself. Everything happens by the supreme will. Pray return to Hastinapur with me. I will need your wise counsel to rebuild this vast kingdom. Krishna also spoke reassuringly. Yudhishthira is right. Besides which, your presence in Hastinapur will provide much consolation to the bereaved Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. With a deep sigh, Kripacharya agreed. When the sages departed for their hermitages, he returned to Hastinapur with Yudhishthira. Always taking great care to comfort his distraught uncle Dhritarashtra and his aunt Gandhari, Yudhishthira began to rule the kingdom with Dhritarashtra and Krishna's approval. I want to pause here for a moment. This situation is like surreal. This great war, Pandavas have killed all the sons of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. And then they're going to take care of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Can you imagine the trauma of living with the people that have killed all your children? Can you even imagine the trauma of living with somebody that you have killed all their children? It's just inconceivable. It's just inconceivable. And then even Kripacharya, right? The son has destroyed Upa Pandavas. He killed them mercilessly with total injustice. He tried to kill the last spark. Parikshit also, they tried to kill everybody. And the father of that son caused the whole dynasty's future to be destroyed. He is requested by Yudhishthira to please come and guide him. And imagine the dilemma and the difficulty of Kripacharya. What a heavy heart he must have to be there. Both the sense of obligation, the sense of guilt, the sense of shame, the sense of discomfort. Just think about all these things for a moment. And we complain about our difficult relationships because things are not going our way, because we don't feel comfortable with our families, how hypersensitive we can be. Also, practically speaking, there was not many people left to, it's not like the kingdom was not like before. He had to build from the scratch. And also the importance of penance here, yagya, worship is highlighted. Kripacharya wanted to go and do penance. Yudhishthira is going to do the sacrifices. And Kunti, Gandhari, and Dhritarashtra will also do theirs. And also, please observe the loyalty of Kunti Devi. She wanted to stay with Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. I mean, it's such an strange and weird, awkward situation where the sons fight each other, they kill each other, and then they have to survive after that. That's why it says death is, the person who dies gets liberated, they go away. But those who live have to go through hell. So I just want you to get perspective. Just see what kind of situation. This is reality. It happened 5,000 years ago. And this should inspire us to look at our situation as all pawns, all episodes, all chapters meant for us to remember Krishna. Because Krishna is with us. Anybody wants to comment or share something, a question or something? Okay. Somebody likes to take over the next reading, please?
Yeah,
I can.
Krishna returns home. Did someone say sorry? I heard something.
No,
It's
go
okay.
ahead, Tara.
Krishna returns home. After installing Yudhishthira as the world's emperor, Krishna departs for Dwarka. The ladies of Hastinapur praise him as he leaves. Oh my God, one second. Yeah, sorry. Shaunaka asked about Yudhishthira's reign as emperor. For surely he could not have ruled with a peaceful mind after so many of his family members had been slain. Sutta said, the great king Yudhishthira lived only to satisfy Krishna, who was pleased to see him assume the throne. Thus, in a mood of service and assisted by his brothers, next page please, he happily accepted his rightful position as king. Sutta described how Yudhishthira restored the Kuru's fortunes, which had been devastated by the war. Under his righteous rule, the earth became opulent like the heavens. The people were free from disturbance, and there was no natural disasters. Because the king satisfied Krishna, the gods were pleased and everything flourished. Did Krishna remain with him? Asked Shaunaka. He stayed in Hastinapur for a few months to console his grieving friends and relations, especially his sister Subhadra. Finally, with Yudhishthira's permission, he departed for Dwarka. I expect this would have caused more grief for Hastinapura's residents than the war itself, said Shaunaka. Please describe to us, though, the scene of his departure and of his arrival in Dwarka. Sutta continued his narration. Hearing the Lord was leaving, the palace residents fell into confusion. Krishna was their very life. How could they face his separation? Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, the Pandavas, Kripacharya, Daumya, and all other citizens of Hastinapur stopped whatever they were doing when the news reached them. They moved about in bewilderment, unable to do anything. I surely cannot live without him, Yudhishthira declared to his brothers. Even one who has only heard about the Lord's glorious qualities can never stop thinking about him. Who to speak of ourselves, who have become accustomed to eat, sit, rest, and speak with him in person, remembering their many exchanges with Krishna and anticipating his separation, the five brothers became restless. On the day of the Lord's departure, the city streets were lined with hundreds of thousands of anxious citizens, all desiring a last glimpse of the Lord. As he proceeded slowly along the road, they gazed at him with unblinking eyes. Arjuna stood on his chariot holding a jeweled parasol over his head, while Uddhava and Satyaki cooled him with ornate fans. Yudhishthira had his great army accompanying Krishna. Drums, trumpets, bells, lutes, conches, and many other instruments sounded as the majestic procession moved along the broad paved road. Brahmins chanted melodic Sanskrit prayers bestowing blessings. The Lord graciously accepted his devotees' services with affectionate smiles and glances. The royal ladies tried to stem their tears, which they feared might cause misfortune. The other ladies of Hastinapur rushed out onto their high balconies. In their haste, they did not dress properly. Their hearts beat rapidly as Krishna passed by with his entourage. None of them could take their eyes away from him. They showered him with flowers and sang his glories. One lady said, "Here is that original supreme person who existed before the creation, and into whom all beings will merge at the end. He is known only by pure-hearted devotees who steadily serve him with mind and senses controlled." As the stately procession moved slowly past them, another lady said, "Dear friends, there is a supreme personality whose attractive pastimes are described by his pure devotees in exalted writings. He creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected. Forgetting their duties, even those of serving their husbands and caring for their children, the ladies crowded the rooftops along the highway. They jolted each other in perplexity, trying to get a better view of the Lord. Praising the good fortune of the residents of Krishna's kingdom, one of them said, "Oh, how glorious is King Yadu's dynasty, and how virtuous is Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of Goddess of Fortune, took birth and played in his childhood." Another lady added, "Dwarka's inhabitants are supremely fortunate. They always see the soul of all beings in his loving feature. And just think of his wives whose hands he accepted. How they must have undergone vows, austerities, sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord to be receiving his conjugal embraces and kisses. The Vrindavan damsels would faint just by imagining such favors." Krishna smiled and glanced upon them, finding their simple, heartfelt words more pleasing than the perfectly composed Vedic mantras recited by the Brahmins. As they caught the Lord's eyes, the ladies almost swooned in ecstasy. The procession passed the love-struck ladies and gradually left the city. The Pandavas accompanied the Lord for a considerable distance, unable to face the prospect of parting. Krishna finally persuaded them to return, whilst he continued on his way to Dwarka, passing through many countries where the residents came out in their thousands to see him.
Okay, I want to pause here and meditate on this moment. There is actually one Purandaradasa song, Rajabidiyolagi ninna kasturi rangattera neri meredu panda. So Krishna is walking in this street where it's like bedecked with jewels. All these people are watching Krishna, all these devotees, eagerness. And I want us to imagine and visualize Krishna entering our hearts, our minds, our lives. His glance upon us is our saving grace, whatever the circumstances are. And Krishna actually casts his mercy upon us. There is no need to fear. There is no anxiety. There is like the total sense of shelter. So I want you to capture this moment, freeze this memory of Krishna walking into the streets and tattoo it in the heart, and like comparing how Krishna is entering our hearts. You can continue. Yeah.
Shall I?
Is somebody going to volunteer, else I can read? Hare Krishna.
Okay, shall I continue with some?
Yes, please.
The glories of Dwaraka. Krishna arrives in Dwaraka and is greeted by his citizens and family members. When Krishna reached the outskirts of Dwaraka, he blew his conch to herald his arrival. The plump white shell, gripped by Krishna's graceful hand, appeared reddened by the touch of his ruby lips. It looked like a white swan playing among red lotuses. Hearing that sound, which strikes fear into fear personified, the citizens ran out to greet him like joyful children greeting their long absent father. As if offering a lamp to the sun, they made presentations of gifts to the Lord, reciting prayers and praises. The citizens said, self-sufficient and fully satisfied within yourself, you are worshipped by the best of gods and are the final goal of life. You are the supreme transcendent Lord, untouched by time. They praised Krishna as their father, mother, spiritual master, and venerable deity, feeling greatly blessed to see him. They expressed their heartfelt affection. You rarely visit even the celestials, but today we can see your smiling face and all auspicious spiritual form. They lamented that when he was away, the days dragged unbearably, with every moment seeming like a million years. At that time, our eyes are useless, as if bereft of sunlight. How can we survive in your absence? Glancing benevolently over the citizens, Krishna entered the city, which displayed the opulence of all seasons, with flower gardens, orchards, lotus-filled lakes, and delightful ashrams. Countless flags and festoons adorned the buildings. And gateways and arches were decorated with colorful signs and garlands. Scented water was sprinkled on the spotless roads. Flowers, rice, and seeds were decoratively strewn about. In every doorway stood auspicious items such as pots of yogurt, milk, and water, as well as fruits, sugarcane, and candles. Billows of fragrant incense smoke wafted throughout the city. Noting all of this, Krishna smiled with pleasure. The Lord's relatives came out to greet him on golden chariots, like a stream of gods issuing from Amravati. Along with them came effulgent Brahmins clad in simple loincloths and intoning sacred hymns. Musical instruments sounded while dancers, dramatists, and singers made impromptu performance depicting and behind veils in their jeweled carriages, smiling shyly as he passed. Krishna got down from his chariot to greet everyone according to their status. To some, he showed respect by bowing his head. Others he embraced. With some, he shook hands. And to others, he offered benedictions. The Lord respectfully greeted representatives of all the social orders. Surrounded by joyous citizens singing his praises, he walked toward his palace, his head protected from the bright sun by a white parasol, proceeding gracefully along the road, his dark body adorned with yellow garments. He was fanned on either side with white yak-tail fans and showered with flower petals. It appeared as if the sun, moon, lightning, and rainbow simultaneously surrounded a dark cloud. Krishna then entered the vast marble palace, where his father Vasudeva lived with his 16 wives. They shed tears of joy to see Krishna, and he respectfully placed his head at their feet one by one, beginning with his father. His mother Devaki sat the Lord on her lap, and milk flowed from her breast out of affection. After taking permission from Vasudeva, the Lord left and then simultaneously entered his 108 palaces, expanding himself into that many forms. With each of Krishna's queens saw him arrive, they stood up quickly. Though they wanted to immediately run to him, out of feminine shyness they checked themselves, covering their charming faces with the ends of their silk saris. They looked about bashfully. When they caught the Lord's glance, they each embraced him within their hearts and then sent their sons forward to physically embrace him. Despite themselves, they shed tears overwhelmed with emotion. The Lord smiled at them, reciprocating their pure love. Speaking gentle words of affection, he entered his inner quarters with each of his wives and rested for the night. Satisfied that his mission of killing the miscreants was complete, Sutta paused in his narration to take a sip of water.
Okay, let's
Shanaka
pause.
sat in silence.
Let's pause here. Stop, please. Thank you. We will continue tomorrow from there. So we are now at Krishna reaching the quarters of his palaces, and he's feeling satisfied that the mission of killing the miscreants was complete. Sometimes Krishna wants to remove our character defects. That's the inner Mahabharata, the Mahabharata in the heart. So there is the Kauravas, there is the Pandavas. There are our material desires that are obstructing our devotional service. And sometimes we are put through difficult circumstances by Krishna to destroy that ego and that pride and that character defect that is blocking us. Like, remember the verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata. So Krishna comes again and again to destroy a dharma, to destroy obstacles, and individually he helps us to remove our character defect if we want. Of course, it's a matter of choice. So with this beautiful meditation and view of Krishna reciprocating to all these devotees who stood there watching him leave Hastinapur and going to Dwarka, with this beautiful thought of Krishna entering his palaces in Dwarka and all his chaste and beautiful wives rushing to see him after such a long time. Krishna was gone and he was with the Pandavas. And just as Yudhishthira Maharaj requested Krishna to stay back because they were dealing with the grief, insurmountable grief that we cannot comprehend, we cannot imagine, the trauma that can actually just completely take away our breath and give us no sense of will to live. After all these atrocities, after all these traumas, after all these losses, these great souls, Pandavas and Kunti, Gandhari, they all survivors of this trauma. And yet, by Krishna's grace, he could lift them up from that grief. And Krishna is such a kind-hearted friend and father. He stayed back with the Pandavas to console them for months. He wanted to leave, but then he stayed back for a few months, consoling them. So Krishna is with us. We just have to turn around and take his help. There is darkness, there is light, and Krishna is always with us. And let us pray just like Bhishma Deva prayed, to always remember the Lord, to always prioritize the Lord in our hearts, no matter the circumstance. That's the perfection of life. Perfection of life is not about us being perfect. It's about us in an imperfect situation remembering Krishna. That's perfection of life. So let's hand over our hearts, our will, our body, our minds in service of the Lord who smiles in reciprocation to the pure love of the devotees. He's not asking us big things. He's only asking us patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, whatever we can offer to him, whatever we eat, whatever we give away, whatever it is, just remembering him with gratitude. Let's feel inspired by Krishna's support. We don't have to look further anymore. We don't have to beg for crumbs. We don't have to run around looking for substitutes. Yes, these relationships can be difficult. Life can be challenging. Work situation can be very intense, overwhelming. Amidst all that, the Supreme Lord is always there for us. We just need to hold his hand and ask his help. Ask him to stay back a little longer to console us. Ask him to remove our grief. Ask him to engage us in his service so that our minds will be pacified and directed towards Krishna's service. So with these thoughts of sacrifice, thoughts of Bhishma's departure, and the memories of Pandavas being consoled by Krishna in these tough situations, and the beautiful, beautiful scene of Krishna going back to Dwarka to his wives. In all situations here, Krishna is the center. Our problems are never the center. The problems are never ever bigger than Krishna. Krishna is always bigger than our pain, our problems, our desires, our unfulfillment. So with this thought, let us rededicate our hearts, our life to remembering Krishna. Whatever it is that he wants us to do, may we become willing to align to his will. Surrender our false ego. And with humility, accept that the situation we may be going through is not perfect. Yet, may Krishna teach us the lesson we need to learn in a joyful way. With these thoughts, we will end this meeting today, and we will take affirmations. What affirmation would you like to set for yourself? How would you like to make your mind a friend? What kind of affirmation would you like your mind to focus on today, so that you can welcome Krishna's power, Krishna's grace, Krishna's shelter every second, every breath? Thank you very much.
Shall I continue with my affirmation?
Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Today, I will keep Krishna within my heart throughout the day and feel that calmness, that soothingness, that strength, that wisdom throughout the day by holding the hand of the Lord. This same feeling actually just I felt when Mataji, you were narrating. The same feeling I want to preserve within myself, within my heart throughout the day by holding the hand of the Lord. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a beautiful thought, holding the hand of the Lord whose arms are always open for us. We just have to go and take shelter. So let's all meditate on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. My affirmation today is like I've been thinking a lot about what surrender means from yesterday, and after today's reading, my thoughts are going to the fact that all along I've just been like keeping myself in the center. Though because of my false ego, I've been thinking I'm doing this to Krishna, but it's always been about me. That's been my realization. So today, at least from today, I want to start and keep Krishna in the center in a very unmotivated way. At least I want to try in most of the activities to remember like how Krishna was coming. Everybody's focus was on him, like that. Instead of everybody, I'm like an analogy, like all the things that I'm doing are representing all those people along the road. Like the road represents my day, and all these people who are looking at Krishna are like all the activities that I'm doing from morning till night. So how each of those persons or devotees, the ladies, the people, the other men, everybody was looking at Krishna, like that. Each activity that I'm doing throughout the day, I want to keep focusing on Krishna, that I want him to be the center of all those activities. So that's what I would like to meditate and affirm today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tarina Radha. Yeah, beautiful thought for us. All the people represent all our duties, responsibilities, actions. May every action look at Krishna. Jai. I love that. I'll go next.
Yes.
I want to, Rasastali, you want to go?
I would like that my mind eternally be fixed on He who is the ultimate
perfection of real infinite, inconceivable power, who controls everything. He is Govinda, expert in protecting his devotees, the root of all creation, maintenance, and destruction of universe, full of bliss. I want to hold his hand forever, always. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes, let us go and do that. Let's hold Krishna's hand. Such a beautiful, beautiful master we have. Thank you.
Hare
Maya,
Krishna.
oh, Kalpana, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Today I will keep on remembering to the Krishna throughout the day, and I will rely on the Krishna plan. I will be today. I will be very much calm, and I will be very much patient today, and I will surrender my every emotions and thought to the God. Thank you.
Okay, yes, let us dedicate our emotions and thoughts to Krishna and be open for his plans. Thank you, Kalpana. Okay, I'll go. My affirmation is I want to take it one day at a time, one thought at a time, one task at a time, and keep dedicating that to Krishna. Consult with him as if like he's my manager. Krishna, what is it that you'd like me to do? How is it that you'd like me to do it? And then do it with dedication and discipline. I don't want to use this principle that it was not Krishna's plan for me to be disciplined. I want to plan my day and I want to try to execute them as best capacity as I can. At the same time, be open for that realization that comes in my heart, and to not to give in to self-will, because the self-will keeps coming in the way, and I want self-will to be relaxed, and I want God's will. I want Krishna's will. May Krishna's will and not mine be done. Thank you.
So nice. Jai.
Vilas Manjari, are you able to share? Also, Scarlett, are you able to share?
Not this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Hi Krishna, I just want to as the residents of Dwarka were leaving everything and were attracted to Krishna, to see him and just to have a glance of him, and they were naturally dragged to see him and take his darshan. So I remember Prabhupada saying soul is naturally attracted to Krishna. So I just remain in this thought that I'm naturally attracted to Krishna and want to remain attracted to Krishna. And through scriptures and through Sangha like this, I get to understand his art. So I just want to crowd my activities where I get to know Krishna and increase my attraction towards him. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Action. It will come. You see, as we are reading, as we are just meditating, it's coming, right? We are feeling attracted to Krishna. He is the most attractive. That's what Krishna means, most attractive. Jai. So, all of you, all the best. Have a fantastic night, day. And for those of you, I will see you in Krishna Connection in about, 12 hours or more, actually. 12 and a half hours, we'll see in Krishna Connection meeting, where we will meditate more about prayer and surrender. Take care and see you later.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.